I am. We are. This is Norwood. Welcome, everybody, to the latest I Am Norwood interview of Norwood Public School and Norwood, I should say Northern Valley Oltapan Regional High School board candidates. Tonight, we're going to speak with Colin Machleder. Colin, good evening. How's everything going over there?
Excellent, excellent.
All right. Just jump right into the questions here. Starting with, I guess, the most fundamental. Why are you doing this? What motivates you to run for the Northern Valley Oltapan School Board?
I have a daughter who's a freshman this year in the high school, and I have a son in the middle school in sixth grade. Okay. So I'm trying to make sure we have a clear and rock solid path of education going forward.
Excellent. And what do you think are the biggest issues facing the Northern Valley School Board right now at the present time?
I think some of the biggest issues is getting clarity. There's several issues, and I think there's no one major one in particular. Okay. It's the summation of them all. I think the curriculum going forward, I'd like to see less political and more instrumental as far as math, physics, and science, and less of the, all the LBGQ2, the critical race, the CRT. I'd like to see the kids just get to school, deal with the basics. As far as all the social aspects and everything else, I think the parents should be able to do that at home on their own time, and give the kids a baseline to start off of. But I think teach the kids how to learn is the real thing.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think we should teach them how to think, not what to think. And give them all sides of everything, left, right, and center, and let them make their own choice, not push any in particular path into them.
All right, and let's go back in time for a moment. We'll jump back into the board heavy stuff in a minute, but where did you attend elementary school and high school?
I actually grew up in Englewood Cliffs in Bergen County.
All right, you weren't far away.
No, I'm only a couple towns south of here. Okay. And I went through Elizabeth Morrow Private School and went through the Englewood Cliffs Public School. And then for high school, I moved out to Long Valley, which is in Morris County. And from there, I went to County College of Morris. And then I went in the end to NJIT for engineering.
Okay, excellent. And what, if anything, did you take away from your own education, say at the high school level, since we are talking about the high school board today?
I'll tell you, I own my own business. I owe pretty much everything I have to actually my high school teachers in Long Valley at West Morris. They really prepared me for college. I'm sorry, that when I got there, a lot of stuff I was already familiar with. And that's kind of what I'm hoping that the Northern Valley does for my daughter and my son when he gets there, is prepare him for the future. And that's the whole thing, that they're giving them the base foundation that they're going to build off of and when they go to college. And I was really, really well prepared. And I'm hoping that Northern Valley does the same thing for my children as what West Morris did for me.
All right. And going back to Northern Valley, name one thing from your knowledge, that you'd like to see the school put more tax money towards going forward.
I'd like to see the kids get some extracurricular activities after school, such as science programs that have like more of a lab feature. I wish they had some more real life classes. And what I mean by real life classes is I wish that they would teach the kids like how to read a lease agreement, how to read a contract, what to look out for. I mean, real life skills.
You're hitting my buttons as an attorney here, but go ahead.
but it's real. When the kids go off to college, they want to get their own room or whatever. Learn what's really going on in the real world. How does business really work? Not just the theoreticals like my daughter did this thing with Treps, and they told the kids to come up with a project, and they're going to sell it. And they go, okay, they said, okay, I bought the jar for this much. I filled it with this material that cost me that much, and X plus Y equals Z. It's like, well, okay, no, what's your time worth? And then your overhead and everything. And they don't really show, to me, they don't go into the full real world. A lot of it's very theoretical. And I loved when I went to high school, we had a metal shop, a wood shop, and they really taught you how things really work, and you had a better insight. So it's not only did you build a chair, but you understood why you put a joint this way instead of that way. Why should you glue it as opposed to that? And I wish they had that more for the kids, and not just say, okay, fine, if you want to do that, you got to go to the VOTEC school, but just give them a little more of a taste of, like I said, what goes on in the real world. Give them an option. Maybe, maybe the kids, when they're going through the books and all that, they don't know what they truly want when they get out of high school and they're going to go to college. How do you know about engineering? How do you know about, I wish they had some sort of almost like a job fair that the kids actually got to partake and say, hey, look, I'm in drafting class. I'm doing AutoCAD. I wish they had, programs like that, that, okay, I really like this, or no, this isn't really what I wanted. I wish they had more tangible things.
Okay.
And that's what I mean by like a real hands-on lab.
Got you. Just to go back to one small point there, you mentioned your daughter had done this exercise, and what was the name of the class? I think you used an acronym in there.
Oh, TREPS. They did that in the middle school, and it was, I don't recall what the exact acronym stood for, but it was pretty much that they came up with their own sales plan. They come up with a product and they sold it.
Oh, got it.
And I give the course credit, but I'd like to see something in the high school that takes it that much further and completes the package with it. Like I said, understand what overhead is, understand taxes. Hey, okay, you made $1. You don't get to keep $1. You got to pay your taxes and everything else. So this way the kids can kind of, antiquate what's really going on in society today, and why are people, talking about tax codes and, all the different programs, and, there's nothing in life for free, and they understand that.
Right. Now let me flip my previous question. Name one thing, if anything, you'd like to see the school district spend less tax money on.
I'd like to, I guess, see the school spend less money on some of these speakers and some of these, I guess it would be some of like the CRT stuff and all that. Just take it out and stop wasting time with that. Give the kids a pamphlet, give them a little bit of oversight. There's the good, the bad, and the ugly, but let's not dwell on it. I wouldn't really want to take anything away. Like the school, for instance, spent umpteen $1,000 with someone to come in, a speaker, to give them a CRT. I think that money could have been used elsewhere for better things.
Okay. Give me your analysis, to the extent that you're familiar with them and comfortable with saying as much on camera, of the current NVOT or the regional school board. I don't mean to just say NVOT, but the regional school board. I put it this way. I have nothing. I don't like the way there's not enough transparency. Like, one of the things that I had an issue with is if you go there and you go to one of the board meetings and you ask a question, you get umpteen people that ask so many questions, and at the end of the night, maybe they answer it, maybe they don't. I'd rather have, like what the Norwood Middle School has, is you can stand up and you can talk and they'll tell you what's coming back. Like, for instance, one of the issues I had with the school board, especially this year, was the contract they did for the busing for the kids for Northern Valley. And in Norwood, at least, if you don't live within a certain distance, you have to pay for busing. The rules are the rules. Okay, whatever it is. It was $800 and change 2.5 months before school started. Literally 2 weeks before school started, it went from $800 to $1,200 and change.
And it was, it was a sizable jump for some people. And okay, I dealt with it. At 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon, the day before the first day of school, they canceled the bus and said, sorry, not enough people went. So at the last minute, I'm here scrambling with several other parents and a whole mess of how do I get my daughter to school? Both me and my wife work. And like, for instance, I got to the school and said, how could you make a contract that they get to take the gravy, the busing company, bus the kids from the other side of the town? Apparently there's not even close to a quarter full bus, and they're not obligated to take the rest of the town. Even if you're going to charge them, I don't care if your bus isn't full, even if you're charging us, but you can't bail out literally the day before school, the night before school. And then there's been a whole bunch of other transparency issues that several people have brought up that I'd like to see them answered. I have nothing against anybody individual on the board. I just don't like the way the board does business. I'll put it that way.
I got you. Okay. And speaking of some business of the board, one thing that certainly factored heavily in the last year and a half was the COVID pandemic. Do you have any thoughts on how the regional high school district has handled the COVID pandemic to date?
I mean, unfortunately, I don't like the way it goes, but it's mandated by the state, so it wasn't much that they could have done.
Okay.
I mean, I would have liked to seen the kids in school. And I wish the kids instead of, would have done at least half days as opposed to doing that 2 on, 1 off. My daughter wasn't in school at the time, so I don't have too much knowledge of what went on actuality, last year, since, like I said, my daughter was just graduated 8th grade, and this year she's in. But I mean, unfortunately, all the schools were kind of bound by what the state mandate was, so I can't say anything against them on that.
Okay. This one could be more of a Norwood Public School question, but I'll throw it to you anyway. In case you have any thoughts, what, if anything, do you believe the regional high school can do differently with regard to its special needs population, or those that are of age for high school that may be diagnosed with special needs? Let's put it that way.
I mean, that the whole special needs thing, I believe they have that school here in Norwood that helps cater to them. And I believe some of the exceptional ones are sent to another school. I think that has to be handled on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Because there's different severities and different needs of different individuals. I mean, in my opinion, it's Northern Valley Altapan's budget that should be responsible for it. I don't think anybody's exacerbating the system. It's just, like I said, to say for one works for all, I'd be lying. There's different spectrums of, say, autism. You might have some with Down syndrome. You might have some with other sorts of handicaps. And I think that has to be taken care of on a case-by-case basis.
Okay. You've kind of touched on this already, but in case you wanted to expand with the question specifically, is there anything you'd like to see emphasized more in the curriculum in the high school?
Like I said, I'd like to see them have more, like I said, real world classes. I'd like to see them have more hands-on labs as far as, chemistry, mathematics, physics, as opposed to all the stuff in theory. One of my problems that I don't really care for today is all the computers, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
The kids can kind of just Google everything. It's not like back in the day when we were in school that you actually had to go to the library and physically open the book, and you were more vested in it than nowadays. The kids can kind of regurgitate it from the internet. I'd like to see them kind of make the kids work for it. I'm a very big, strong believer in not every kid gets a trophy. You got to kind of give you got to kind of do it with the carrot and the stick. The kids got to work for it. You got to give them all the tools and teach them what it's about. Because when they get out in the real world, not everybody gets a trophy. You want it, you got to work for it. And I think right now is where we got to instill that work ethic into the kids.
Okay. And parallel to the courses themselves, is there a aspect of the athletic program that you'd like to see more emphasized or less emphasized, or both at the present time? You can give me one of each if you wish.
I can't say anything about the athletic program.
Okay.
My kids are in soccer and in wrestling, and my daughter's also in lacrosse. And all the way around, I give a lot of kudos to a lot of the coaches and all the kids. They're very inclusive, letting everybody kind of have a turn. It looks like they run a pretty extensive program. They have all nice equipment. No, I really can't. I can't harp on it at all.
Okay. Are there any policies that you're aware of at the high school level that you would want to change as of right now, if you had the opportunity to advocate for as much on the board?
Like I said, I'd like to get, I don't care for the bathrooms, the multi-gender bathrooms.
Okay.
I'd like to see that more straightforward. Besides that, I really can't say that there's any other things that I would take away.
Okay. Let me give you a hypo from a recent client interaction I had. Feel like I should be hitting what he actually does, which is construction, rather than what the hypo is about, which is school. But we're talking about the school today. So I know your business. You're in the construction industry, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I have a client that I ordinarily represent on construction matters, but he was telling me his son had gotten injured in school playing soccer and went down hard. Apparently got kicked, and the parents come about a half hour later. Nurse who took the initial look at the child says it looks like it's muscular. I wouldn't worry about it too much. This and that. And they somehow get him into the parents' car, takes him to the urgent care, and it turns out that the student had actually broken his leg in two places. And unclear whether the lack of more thorough diagnosis resulted in further injury from anything I was told, but if you heard about something like that at a board meeting where it at least looked like somebody may have been responsible for a misdiagnosis or an aggravation of an injury, how would you recommend handling that as a board member?
As a board member, as far as a misdiagnosis, the main thing I would do is first to do an investigation to find out, who did the call. Was the person that made the call capable of making such a call?
Okay.
And I wouldn't go jumping to conclusions until you find out all the facts. Hypotheticals to me are very difficult. The first thing you got to do is find out, what the true facts are. Why did the individual trip and fall? What was the true outcome? Was he pushed? Was it an accidental trip? Was the field not constructed right, or had a rut or something missing? And then ultimately, it really comes down to when the person that misdiagnosed him, were they a coach that doesn't have any medical training? Was it the EMT, or was it a doctor?
This was a school-employed nurse in the actual incident, but yeah, no, I see where you're going there as far as focus. Is there certain? Have you heard of any incidents in the high school level where you were wondering to yourself, how come this person didn't get more training or this type of training? And anything you've heard about?
The only thing that I am really curious about is that people are talking about, for instance, missing laptops, some of the excessive spending. Like for instance, they're spending money for geese police. Things
that?
they actually pay a company to come there and chase the geese away.
Okay.
And I kind of look and hey, there's a lot of things I'd like to see them spend money on. Newer laptops, newer equipment for the sports team, then sometimes it seems like, hey, we got the money, we got to spend it no matter what. Like one of my big concerns is, like, for instance, the school has a surplus in their budget, yet they still asked for more money to raise taxes.
Okay.
And I'm not saying pull any money away, but if you have a surplus and you're running efficient, why do you need more money?
Okay.
Another thing too is it seems like the goal system is set where upper management of the school gets the bonus if the kids do better. To me, it should be more the teachers get the bonus if the kids do better. You got to give the incentive to the teachers, not to the administrators.
Okay, and just to go back to your earlier point, I actually thought goose poop in excessive amounts on school grounds was like a rite of passage for all kids growing up. It was all over all over the place where I was, and I just think I didn't know there was an enforcement initiative. That's I'm intrigued. Okay.
Yeah, look out for number one before you step in number two. It's kind of
yes.
And like I said, that's why I think some of the spending is sometimes frivolous. If we had the money for the go chase geese poop on the fields, spend it on the buses for the kids so every kid gets a ride to school. Like right now, me and several parents are carpooling.
Okay.
Just working as a community to get the kids to school because there is no other option. I'm not going to put my child on an Uber, and me and my wife both working can't always make ourselves accessible to drop them off and pick them up.
Right. All right. I'm going to ask you something that's totally unrelated to anything, but I just ask you to bear with me here. What is your feeling on fruit roll-ups?
According to my kids' dentist, they're no good, but I like them. I can't say nothing. I'm a good. It's good tasting candy as far as I'm concerned.
Somebody was telling me fruit by the foot might be a little better, but that was when I was an adult already that started to come out. So, do you have a thought on that one also?
Oh no, that was the more fun. That was the more fun fruit roll up. Both of them. I remember peeling them off the cellophane.
Do they have a place in the modern diet?
No, I think they kind of died out with the Twinkie. You don't see them anymore.
Damn, the chocolate Twinkie was the only one I was concerned about, but I'm sorry to hear that either way. Is there anything that maybe I haven't specifically asked about that you'd like prospective voters to know about you going into?
Put it this way: I have no political aspirations.
Okay.
I'm a parent. I'm a parent of 2 children in the town. I'm a resident, and I'm a business owner. In that order. I'm really here just for my kids and the neighborhood kids. I just want to see the kids go to good education. Like I said, this is the foundation for the rest of their life. This is what's going to kind of determine where they go and what they're going to do. And I think this is like the most critical. It's their last hurrah. This is the last 4 years, for these kids to start their lives. And I think this is really the most important aspect. And I think they really need to understand that. I think one of the biggest problems with the kids today is they don't have a good foundation for reality. The problem is, I think the news and the media just keeps pumping, all these different views and opinions and all that. And I think the kids have to get out into the world and really experience it to make their own opinions and how they want to navigate through it. And I think that's what the high school really has to focus on. It's like I said, where do they want to go to school and what do they want to go to school for? Not just because, every kid wants to be a lawyer, every kid wants to be a doctor or an engineer. What did you do or what makes you want to do that? And not just because your father or your mother, that's what they did and they have to follow in their footsteps. My family's in chemicals,
Right.
So I'm not even close to that. I'm in construction.
My dad did sonar radar technology, and I'm in law, so I'm right there with you.
And that's what I'm saying. And I think the sad part is, like, today the kids don't have the summer jobs like we did when we were younger. And it's not that they don't want to. The opportunities aren't there as much as they were, I think, several years ago. So the kids don't have the chance to get out and experience, what it's like to, work in a construction company during the summer, work in an office environment, work in a doctor's office. The jobs for the younger people now are more in fast food and, minimalized jobs is what I'll say. No real intelligent or learning experience for them. And I think that's something that I'd like to see the school kind of push and try to maybe make some sort of a job fair or something, work with the local community to give the kids some real world experience. And it's not for them to go out and make money. It's just to get their feet wet and figure out what they want to do and how they want to do.
Excellent. Well, with that, I'll leave you to the rest of your evening, and thank you for joining us on here. Hope you.
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
Definitely. Glad I was finally able to track you down.
All right.
But all right, just give. All right.